Oh, hello. I didn't see you come into the data center. Please, join me for a fireside chat. Although there won't be any actual fire because of the fire suppression system in here. Now, throughout history, there have been certain drivers of wealth in civilization. Silver, gold, oil, and now in the 21st century, data. And wherever these economic commodities have existed, there have been those who have sought to get their hands on it through malicious means. And here in the 21st century and with data, it's no different. Even as I sit here and talk to you today, this data center is fending off thousands of cyber attacks every minute. The challenge that we face is that it doesn't matter whether you are a government entity, an enterprise business, medium business, branch office, or even a small one-person business. If you or your organization has presence on the internet, which quite frankly you need to have in order to do business today, you are a target of the malicious actors out there who want to gain access to your information and your data. Now, it's in regard to the small office and branch office environments where I am focusing this message. These are environments where the business or the organization doesn't have the resources for such a large and complex security infrastructure. And they also don't have the budgets to hire an IT staff that will manage all of this complex equipment. And so that is where we have this. This is the Meraki MX75. And this is designed for your environments, the smaller businesses, the branch offices, quite possibly even a home office, where you can secure your network without breaking your budget. And the way the Meraki platform is designed, you can configure this and manage this without the need of a highly technical IT staff. So, let's take a look at the features and functionality of the Meraki MX75. Hi, my name is Rich and welcome to the Rich Tech Guide channel. And in this video, we are going to take a look at the Cisco Meraki MX75 security appliance, which I have in this box. So we're going to do an unboxing and then we're going to take a look at the specs of the MX75, hop into the Meraki Dashboard Manager and take a look at setup and operation. And then I will close it out with my thoughts on the MX75. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to go full disclosure. I do not work for Cisco. I am not being paid by Cisco to promote this product. In fact, I actually purchased this using the funds generated by this YouTube channel. So if you want to see more videos like this, please help me to grow the channel by liking this video, hitting the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel, and also share this out to anybody you think might be interested in this topic. So now, let's open up this box and take a look at the MX75. Okay, so let's take a look at what is in the box here. First of all, opens up very easily, no tape or anything to cut. So it did ship in a larger box where that was of course properly sealed for shipping, but the MX75 itself, just easy open box. Now inside of here, we're going to pull this out. We have the actual MX75. It is encased in a layer of paper, so we will remove that paper and there we go. We have the MX75. Flip it around to the back side of it. Here we have all of those lovely interfaces and the port for the external power supply to connect into. So I'm going to go ahead and sit this down here for a moment. We're going to dig a little deeper in the box. We have another layer of cardboard. We have a Meraki MX75 Quick Start QR code. And then we have the actual external power supply. And then beneath that, looks like we have a regulatory compliance and safety information. So we can set that aside. And this is the power supply that connects into it. It does require an AC input, so in the larger box that it shipped in, there was an AC power cord. So with that, let us plug this in and get started with configuring it after we take a look at the specs. When a Meraki device is first brought online and is trying to connect to the Meraki cloud, the status light will display the Meraki rainbow as it cycles through multiple colors. Once it establishes a connection to the Meraki cloud, the light will go to a solid white. If the light is flashing white, that means that the device is updating. If it cannot connect to the cloud, then the light will go orange. The Meraki MX75 is the largest and most capable desktop form factor Meraki security appliance. The MX security appliances that are larger and more powerful, such as the MX85 through MX450, all come in a 1RU rack mount form factor. Although the MX75 is in a desktop form factor, you can purchase third-party rack mount conversion kits which enable you to mount the MX75 in a 19-inch rack should you decide that you need to deploy it in that manner. The MX75 measures in at 11.14 inches wide by 5.83 inches deep and 1.06 inches tall. It is powered by a 100-watt DC external power supply. Unlike the MX67 and 68, the other desktop form factor Meraki MX devices, the MX75 is not fanless. However, that being said, I have only heard the fan a couple of times and it is normally very quiet. On the back of the MX75, you will find three 1 gigabit WAN interfaces. One of these interfaces is an SFP interface to enable fiber optic connections, and the other two interfaces are RJ45 Ethernet interfaces. However, the SFP interface and the RJ45 Internet 2 interface are in an either-or setup, meaning that if you are using the SFP interface Internet 1, then the RJ45 interface will be disabled. Alternatively, if you use the two RJ45 interfaces, Internet 2 and 3, then the SFP interface, Internet 1, will be disabled. On the LAN side of the MX75, there are 10 1 gigabit RJ45 Ethernet interfaces, and the last two are PoE Plus capable. The recommended use case for the MX75 is for a small branch office with up to 200 users. It has a throughput of 1 gigabit per second. The site-to-site VPN throughput is 900 megabits per second, and it is capable of supporting up to 75 site-to-site VPN tunnels. Keep in mind that the Meraki MX line of products is classified as security appliances. While the Meraki MX appliance does provide firewall features to secure your network, there are features and functions that are available on enterprise firewall appliances such as the Cisco Firepower series that you will not have on a Meraki MX. The key differentiator in these is that Cisco Firepower will give you a much more granular control and customization options such as stateful packet inspection, deep packet inspection, Splunk integration, or the encrypted visibility engine. These features require technical expertise to implement, and the Meraki MX platform instead opts for an ease-of-use approach that enables small organizations to have control over their network security without the need of highly technical staff. The features that will be available on your Meraki MX appliance will be determined by the licensing level purchased. There are 3 licensing levels: Enterprise, Advanced Security, and SD-WAN+. Here you can see a summary of the features for each licensing model. I'll link to the full licensing feature list in the description below. Also, it is worth noting that the enterprise licensing model can only be applied at the organizational level, meaning that it cannot be mixed with other license levels within the same organization. The Advanced Security and SD-WAN+ licenses can be applied on a per-device basis, allowing for mixing the licensing levels within the organization. Licenses are purchased in terms of 1, 3, 5, and 10 years and follow the Meraki co-term setup, meaning that if you purchase licenses of a different term periods for your organization,
Meraki will average out the terms of all your licenses to determine a licensing termination date. As an example, if your organization buys a MX appliance, the MS switch, and a MR wireless access point, and you decide to purchase 3 years for the MX and the MR, but 1 year for the MS, then Meraki will average out the days in the licenses and set that as the termination date of all products in the organization, which would work out to roughly 2 1/3 years. On the other hand, if you purchased a 5-year license for the MX and 3-year licenses for the MS and MR, then your co-term period would work out to 3 2/3 years. This is why when purchasing or renewing Meraki licensing, that you match the license terms across all devices in your organization. The Meraki MX75 hardware without the licensing has a list price of approximately $1,900. I purchased it with 3 years of advanced security licensing, which has a list price of about $3,760. However, I was able to purchase from a large Cisco reseller at a very discounted price. The total package of the MX75 hardware, licensing, along with shipping and tax, came to just over $1,900 for me. Now, let's get into the Meraki dashboard and take a look at configuring the MX75. All right, so here I am in the Meraki dashboard, and let's get this MX75 configured. Now, I've already added it into my Meraki environment in terms of claiming the device and getting the license, but it's really simple. Just under your organization tab, you're going to go into inventory, and once there's a, say, claim devices, and what you can do there is you'll get a Meraki order number from your actual product order when you bought it. So you'll get an email with the Meraki order number and a license key if the license is on the same order. And you punch in that order number, it will bring in both the device and the license, and you should be good to go. Now, if the license is on a separate order, then you'll get an email with the license key info, at which point you would just go to organization license info, punch in your license key, and you'd be good to go there. So I have this on here, but I need to actually start getting it configured. In order to do that, first of all, I have another MX appliance in this network, and you're only allowed one MX appliance per network. So I'm going to have to create a new network. So let's do this. I'm going to say create a network. And let's just go ahead and name it. This is going to be like a lab network for me. And I could say exactly what I want here, but combined just means it's going to be all sorts of stuff. So if this was just the security appliance, it's that. Just the switch, just wireless, just camera, but I'm just going to say combined. We're going to go with the default Meraki configuration, and here is my MX75. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab it, and I'm going to say create the network. So it's going to do that. And here we go. I have my new network, and it's only going to show what I have available on it, but right here we've got our security and SD-WAN right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to say monitor. Let's go take a look at appliance status first of all. So let's actually take a look at the appliance itself. Okay, here I can configure the location of the appliance. Now I'm blurred this out because I don't want this being publicly broadcasted, even though it does change frequently from my ISP, but it is going to show me my WAN IP, so my publicly facing IP. I've got a dynamic host name here. This is also something I'm going to be blurring out, but there is a host name which is actually tied to a dynamic DNS, so that way you can access it from anywhere outside your own network, particularly if you're behind a NAT. Okay, so it says it has never connected to the Meraki cloud. Well, that's
that has now changed as of right now. It also shows me with just one port, just one interface port. Now I've also got things like firmware version, says it's up to date, that's great. No client or device connectivity and data. Again, new device just added, we're fine here. I can take a look at stuff on the uplink device. I can take a look at things like its connectivity to all 8s, the 8.8.8.8. We can take a look at DHCP. There aren't any DHCP leases happening. And IPv6 prefixes if I want to configure IPv6. Can set up location, and then we've got tools where I can do things like if I want to reboot the device, I want to maybe blink the LEDs. Maybe I have a whole stack of these things, so I want to figure out which one this is, so blink those LEDs. Trace route, DNS lookups. So yeah, see if I just did a DNS lookup for these guys right here, you know, very popular search engine. Boom, it's already provided me with the DNS lookup info. So that came straight from the Cisco Umbrella DNS server. All right, so there's that. Now, let's go back over here. We've got the Security Center. This is where I can pull up events about what's going on with the device. Okay. Route table. Route table is going to be very straightforward. It's basically just going to give me my WAN uplink route. Okay. Looks like there's also a single LAN setting configured down here. We'll go ahead and I'll do some changes on that. And then lastly, so dynamic protocol status. So this would be, oh, looks like I don't have BGP configured. Do I want to enable it? So I can just go ahead and do that if I wanted to. But let's do some configuration here. Addressing in VLANs. Now, I've already got the WAN facing IP configured to connect to the rest of my network. But here I can say, okay, do I want this to be routed? This is typical. This would be like a routed. So this basically acts like a layer 3 router. Or I could just make it be a pass-through or a VPN concentrator if I wanted to, in which case it would just operate in layer 2. Client tracking, I can track my clients based off of MAC addresses. That's the default that Meraki does, or I can do it based off of IP addresses. If everything on your network is static, okay, you could probably do the IP addresses. Otherwise, let's stick to the MAC address. Default is I'm going to have a single LAN here. Well, I'm actually going to maybe change that up here. So I've got different VLANs that I can configure. For now, I can just leave the standard VLAN, or what I can do is I can say add a VLAN, change it. But this particular VLAN, you know what, I can even delete it if I wanted to. I do want to probably change up its interface IP for that. So, all right, well, we'll take care of that here. Group policy next. Okay, yeah, so VLAN name is default, VLAN ID is 1. Great. Okay, let's change this up. I'm going to actually change this up to okay, we're going to, oh, it is going to actually be 10.1. The subnet mask, 172.17.0.0 / and I have made the network that I want this to be, to actually be a /22. I can also, if I wanted to, configure IPv6. I'm not going to. Preview, so it looks like that. Update, great. Okay. Now I've got all my interfaces on here, so I can configure them to be different VLANs. Right now they're all configured to trunk. For the moment, I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and I'm actually going to just change them all to access VLAN 1 and update. Okay, so everything on here is just going to be VLAN 1. This is for my initial configuration. As I build out the network on it, I'm going to be making changes. So, before I leave this page, so here's another thing. You can configure this as a warm spare if I had a second MX75. So if you have two of the same MX model, you can actually have the two on the same network. You just configure one to be a warm spare. And then I can configure dynamic DNS. So we're going to save this page, go through it. And we are now good to go. Changes are saved. So let's go ahead. I can now set up DHCP for my network. In the DHCP page, what we can do here is we can run a DHCP server, we can relay it to another server, or just say, no, we're not going to do DHCP here. So, great thing about Meraki, you can mouse over things on here if you're confused as to what it is. So, generally, we're going to leave that a lot of the same. Use Umbrella. All right, so for a DNS server, okay, I could choose to use Umbrella. I could use Google public DNS. Maybe I have a DNS that's upstream from this device that I just want to feed through. So I can go with that. Or maybe I have my own name servers local to my network. So I want to do internal DNS. So I can set that up as well. For now, I'm just going to say use Umbrella as the DNS assignment for any DHCP device. And when it comes to DHCP options, so we can set all sorts of fun DHCP options here. We'll go ahead and not deal with that right now. Reserved IP ranges. So right now, the way it's set up is it's identified this entire VLAN or this entire IP address space as being used for DHCP. So maybe I only want to use a block of that for DHCP. So this is kind of counterintuitive. But what I want to do is, if I want to put in a reserved IP address range, maybe I only want 172.17.3 addresses to be DHCP assigned. So what I can do is I can say 172.17.0.1 is the first IP in the reserved range. The last IP in that reserved range is going to be 172.17.2.255, and then we'll say static IP space. Okay, so now I'm going to save those changes. And now what it's going to do is basically 172.17.0.1 all the way to 2.255. The DHCP server is not going to assign any addresses in that space. It will only assign from 172.17.3.0 all the way out to the rest of the network in that subnet range. So now we can move on to our firewall. All right, so I'm not really going to do any configuring in here at the moment, but this is where I can configure all sorts of rules. I can do IPv6, inbound, outbound, on layer 3. So if I want to set default rule here, deny IP any. We've got layer 7 rules here in place. So so the inbound rule denying everything. My outbound rule is allowing everything, making it, and also definitely configuring it as a stateful. So these are just the defaults. Layer 7, so I can add layer 7 rules if I want to look at specific applications to allow or deny. I can configure port forwarding. I can do NATing. So if I wanted to configure a NAT server, I don't actually on this. I've already got the static routes assigned by my routing devices further up the stream to be able to route to this and the network that I've just configured in that 172.17 space. If I wanted to, however, configure the natting, because I don't want to have the static routes there, this is where I would do it. So I could do a one-to-one NAT mapping, so internal IP address mapped to external, or the one-to-many, the one that might be on your home network talking to your ISP, where you have a whole bunch of internal networks talking through one external network. So those are firewall rules we could go through. You can also configure this as a site-to-site VPN. So if I had multiple locations, multiple offices, I want to configure site-to-sites between them. Maybe I've got a main location and then I've got a satellite location or two. So I want that satellite to VPN back into the main one. We can configure that. Let's go into routing now. Okay, so Meraki devices, the Meraki MX device, it only supports BGP and OSPF, and it also says when the WAN appliance is participating in a VPN. So not much we can do with routing. So this is one of the limitations you do run into on this is dynamic routing protocols. I can configure a client VPN on here. So there's a couple ways we can go about doing that. I can configure a IPsec through Meraki's client VPN solution. If you have AnyConnect licenses, you can enable AnyConnect on Cisco AnyConnect. And so that way you can use just your standard AnyConnect client. And then, yeah, some frequently asked questions about it. I'm not going to go into it at this time. We've got Active Directory, so if I'm running an Active Directory environment inside this network, I can configure Active Directory authentications, mainly for if I want to have multiple users be able to access this. We can go into some of the SD-WAN and traffic shaping if we want to configure out SD-WAN environments. I can configure out on specific different WAN interfaces. This device does have multiple WAN interfaces. All sorts of these SD-WAN configurations we can do. Again, not going to go into it right here. Threat protection. All right, so I can do advanced malware protection. I want to enable that. I can configure allow URLs. If there's any particular URL I find that maybe it's blocking, but I know it's good. Not likely to happen. It's going to get its data feeds from Cisco Talos. Those guys are excellent at identifying who's the good URLs, who's the bad URLs. I can do intrusion and detection and prevention. Again, we can mouse over this for something. So I can do, maybe I just want to do detection, or maybe I'll go all the way to prevention. So you can set the rule set. There's default rule sets. I can set it to either be connectivity, in which case it will fail, or it will, if it's unsure about something, it will go ahead and say, yes, I want to just go ahead and allow the connection to happen. So it's kind of like error on the side of allowing the connection to happen. Balanced is kind of, it uses reputation scoring. At a certain point, it really tries to find this even balance between the connectivity and the other one, security. So the security where is, if maybe through its scoring system it's unsure about something, it doesn't quite know how to categorize it, it's going to just block it anyways. For now, I'll just leave this as balanced. Trusted applications, streaming, entertainment. So if I want to allow Amazon Video, Google, I can do all sorts of software update type stuff. This might be something I want to allow. Microsoft updates and such. Collaboration tools. Okay, if I want to do something with, say, Cisco WebEx, I want that allowed. So, the streaming stuff, maybe I don't want my employees streaming. But on the other hand, you know what? Maybe I got a marketing department. Or maybe I am a marketing department. Maybe I'm running a YouTube channel. I guess I am, actually. So I guess I do want the streaming stuff. Online storage, okay. If you store anything in the cloud. Business critical applications, so AWS, Azure, all these types of things. So, and you can go in here and you can actually expand it out, show everything. if there's any specific trusted IPs or subnets, I want to be able to do that. If I have an umbrella license, I can enable Cisco umbrella connection. And also, if I have a Cisco XDR license, I could feed this data into Cisco XDR. But as it is right now, I'm just going to save the changes right here. So that is saved. Let's go into content filtering. So when we get to content filtering here, I can, actually what's great here is if there's a URL that maybe I wanted to check its threat category, I can just go ahead and punch in this URL. So, you know what, if I want to say, let's go to cisco.com. It should come up as a good URL. Everything is good. Okay, does not fall into any threat categories. Naturally, Cisco is going to rank their own URL as being good. On the other hand, you know, let's just trying to think off the top of my head what may or may not be something that would fall into a threat category that's not going to get this video demonetized. But you know, let's try, what I'm going to actually use as an example here is let's try a gambling website. So let's do betmgm.com and see what comes up. Okay, it doesn't say it falls in any categories, but it does say it's gambling. Now what I can do, which is great on Meraki, is I can expand this out, and it just threw it into the blocked content categories. Okay, so let's play around with this. And I'm not going to touch this just right away, so I'm actually going to pull it out of there. Then there's further URL filtering. So if there are specific URLs I want to block, I can go ahead and do that. If there's specific content categories here that I want to identify or block, this is just an entire setup here. So you know what? Maybe you know, I don't want things like, okay, cheating and plagiarism. If you're a university, you don't want your students doing that. You know, this is something right here we don't particularly want, like if I'm running a business network, I don't want this being allowed. So we're going to go ahead and you know what, maybe that's also not a good thing to allow in a particular news environment. So there's also different threat categories here. So yeah, malware sites, I want to block those. Spyware and adware, yep, phishing, botnets, spam. You know, there's, quite honestly, I might just want to, these are different threat categories. I just want to block them all, okay? So, now, looks like I'm actually going to have to go through and just check these individually. Yeah, okay, so there we go. Blocked everything. All these threat categories, these are now going to be blocked. So yeah, I have to go through, check them all individually. Again, URL filtering, search filtering, so I can enable some web search filtering. You know, maybe I want to restrict YouTube content. So right now it's disabled. I want to go to moderate or maybe strict filtering. So, you know, maybe I've got the marketing team. They want to upload their videos, but I don't want my employees just casually watching YouTube videos all day. So I might enforce, say, a more moderate YouTube content. Okay, something like that. So we're going to save this right now as it is. All right, so we've saved all of this. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and we'll take a look at access control. So if you are running a wireless device, so the MX75, it has a couple of PoE interfaces. So let's say I want to get a Meraki wireless access point, set it up in here. I could do things like I could create another VLAN for, say, a guest wireless. And I could do things like a splash page, so no splash page, a click-through where they just acknowledge that they're on the network. Or I could do a sign-on with either a local radius server, Facebook login, Google OAuth, stuff like that. So there's different things I can do in terms of wireless changes here. So I'm actually going to cancel. As of right now, I don't have a wireless device on here. So, and then, yeah, you can go ahead and configure the splash page if you can have that set up on the other one. Customize it, welcome. You can do all sorts of interesting stuff there. And then we've also got, we can configure wireless concentrator, again, for any wireless devices. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip over back to the content filtering. Okay, so we're going to play around with the content filtering. Now, what I am going to do is I have a device here, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the network. And this way, when it comes in, I'm going to switch over to that device on my screen capture. On the content filtering side of it, now let's take a look at, I had mentioned gambling earlier. So I put it on there, I said block, and then I pulled it off because I wanted to play around with it. So let's go to BetMGM. All right, it's pulling up, it's loading, everything looks fine. All right, so, but again, you know, maybe as I'm running my business, I don't want my employees doing sports betting while they should be working. So what we're going to do is we're going to hop back over to the Meraki, and we're going to add gambling back into the blocked content. Okay, so back on the Meraki dashboard here, and again, I could go through all of these different categories here. Or, you know what? That was the website I pulled up, betmgm.com. It's going to check it. Okay, it doesn't fall into any threat categories. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and add gambling to the list of blocked content. I'm going to say save. And yeah, we'll probably have to do a quick refresh on here just to show that it's in. Yep, gambling is now in, it's saved. So let's hop back over onto the machine and see what happens. Now I've blocked MGM, well, I haven't just blocked this website, but it's still loaded from my previous load. Let's try a refresh, see what happens. And it may still refresh because it's cached, it may still come back, and all right, let's just close out the web browser entirely and bring it back. Okay, so let's try that again. Oh, the site can't be reached. It's being blocked. We can try other related websites. Let's see what happens here. And again, it's spinning here, it's loading, it's not able to resolve it. It's trying to resolve it, but it's not able to. So, yeah, there it is. That is a quick run through of the Meraki MX75. Just went through some of the features, the options. My thoughts on this device or devices or the Meraki in general. First of all, I love Meraki. I have been using Meraki in my own networks for about 10 years now almost. So I absolutely love the Meraki environment. I love the way that it just makes things easy for you to utilize. So I did do a video reviewing a similar product also from Cisco, the Cisco Firewall. Actually, it's sitting right here. We've got this Firepower 1010. So I can link to that up above and down below for if you're interested in seeing that video. These two products are very similar to each other, but yet they've got their differences. And you know, maybe I might do a video about that. But generally, the way I would put it is if you want ease of use, maybe you're running a small business operation, you don't have an IT guy or an IT team, go with the Meraki. The Meraki Dashboard interface is very easy to use. As you mouse over things, it explains what it is, so you can very easily work with Meraki. Versus, say, something like that Firepower 1010, which is actually going to be a little bit more powerful of a system, but it requires a lot more technical knowledge. So it requires somebody who has an IT guy who's familiar with networking, network security, firewall concepts. Whereas this one, it helps to know that, but it's also something that you just may not necessarily need, and it does help, will guide you through it. It walks you through it. It explains it better. It's a much cleaner user interface. So my overall thoughts with the Meraki, this device, I love it. You know what? As I said, I spent my own money. Now, granted, it was money generated by this YouTube channel to purchase this and review it, and I did so after getting that Firepower 1010 because I wanted to just show something else that's available in similar price range, and also sort of a different way to go about it. This is not a full-on firewall like the other one. As I went through the routing protocols, this only does BGP and OSPF, and only in the context of a VPN type setup. So it cannot do all that layer 3 dynamic routing protocols. That's one of its limitations to it. The other thing about Meraki that I absolutely love, though, is the licensing. You know, the other Cisco devices, the licensing, you have to manage and maintain a Smart account, and so the Smart licenses get deposited in there. Once you understand it, you can go through it pretty easily, but quite frankly, the Meraki licensing is simple. I got an email, it had the license key, it had the order number, I plugged it into the dashboard, my device is available, I can use it. So that's another thing, great thing about Meraki, one of the ease of use things. Other areas I absolutely love about it is, let's say you have an employee that, you know what, you've decided you want to terminate that employee, but they've been using, say, a personal device on your network. Maybe they brought their own phone that they've connected to your network through that. With Meraki, you can very easily identify devices in the client's portal or the client's page on the dashboard. So you can go through and find it, and you can be like, nope, I don't want this device on my network. So a great feature for Cisco Meraki. Do you utilize Meraki? Are you looking into Meraki? Go ahead and comment down below your thoughts around that. So absolutely would love to be able to continue to review more products like this. So please help me to grow the channel so it can generate the money that I can utilize to do stuff like this by go ahead and clicking that subscribe button. If you know anybody who's interested in Meraki, share this video out. With that, keep learning, keep improving, keep studying, and I will see you in the next video.